All right, so I'm Jon DeClerck. I'm a technical consultant for Purina Animal Nutrition, and I service the Red River area, which is most of Texas and Louisiana. So today I'm going to talk about the importance of mineral nutrition. And minerals are sometimes called a catalyst of longevity. And the reason they're referred to as that is because they facilitate nearly every process or reaction that happens in the body. And so because of that, as cattlemen, if we produce or if we supplement our cows with a high quality mineral program, we generally see an extremely incentive in terms of our return on investment, because we're not only going to improve the animal health of those cattle, but also their conception rates and their gain. So when we talk about my keys, or what I'd like to establish, or kind of my take-home messages in terms of mineral nutrition, I've got three in mind. The first is that cattle need to be supplemented with mineral. We're going to learn that many of the grasses that we've got out here are just inherently deficient in a lot of the minerals that are essential for production. The second key is that cattle have got to eat, or they've got to consume that mineral in order to have value. Now, if you're like me, I know for myself, I wish just by buying vegetables I could be healthy. Or maybe if I put the vegetables on my plate, I would feel a little bit better. But unfortunately, I've got to eat those vegetables to feel better. And your cows have got to eat the mineral that we're providing for them in order for them to bolster the performance like we want to. And then my third key or takeaway is going to be that Purina has a full line of research-tested and field-proven mineral options that can suit your needs, no matter what your climate or no matter what your value. So as we start talking about minerals, let's first establish the fact that there are at least 14 macro or micro minerals that are important for production. Now, you don't need to necessarily worry too much about learning about all these minerals, because each bag of Purina that you buy has got the appropriate amount of balance for each one of those minerals. Now, when I'm evaluating a mineral program, I don't necessarily try to get too wrapped up in looking at the tag or the guaranteed analysis, because more is not always necessarily better. There's differences in bioavailability, which is just maybe the percentage of the mineral that cow can actually digest and use. And also, many times the relationship or the balance of minerals is more important than the total concentration. Now, a good example of that would be the metabolic disorder called grass tetany. So we know that we get grass tetany from a lack of magnesium absorption. If we turn out lactating cows in the early spring on lush green grass, we'll end up with some issues with grass tetany. Now, what if I were to tell you that if I actually took a sample of that grass and looked at the composition of magnesium, that many times there's enough magnesium in that grass to meet the cow's need. But the problem is we have elevated levels of potassium and nitrogen in that grass too, and those two antagonize and block magnesium from being absorbed by the cow. And again, minerals are interrelated. They compete against each other for digestion, and they definitely antagonize themselves as well. Another thing that we're going to keep in mind here, so I'm standing out in a pasture, is that there's a ton of different species or types of grasses out here. And each one of those species or types of grasses has a different composition of minerals. Some may have more phosphorus, some may have more sulfur. There may be some differences in terms of what those compositions are. And cows, they're very similar to me and you. Their preference or their palate is going to dictate how much of each particular species of grass they're going to eat. So if we all went into a restaurant, if 4 or 5 of us went into a buffet, I promise you when we sat down, we all wouldn't have the same exact foods on our plate, or at least not the same total concentration or distribution of foods on your plate as well. And so mineral nutrition is very complicated. All right, minerals compete against each other. We're going to see differences in forage quality. The bioavailability is going to fluctuate throughout the year based on the maturity of that grass. And the reason I bring all this up, or these complexities, is because of when we're talking about mineral nutrition, this is something that's directly going to impact not only your conception rates, but the performance and the health of your cattle. These are 3 things that are going to drive your bottom line as a producer. So before you invest in a mineral program, make sure to use a company that understands all these complexities, because it is going to directly impact your profitability. So there are some commonalities when we talk about mineral nutrition. One that I really look at is some of our trace minerals. That would be zinc and copper. So no matter what kind of grass you've got, zinc and copper are going to be deficient about throughout the year. And the other one I look at a lot is phosphorus. So phosphorus levels are generally going to be insufficient in our grasses between 9 and 10 months out of the year. Now this, phosphorus is often referred to as the master mineral. And the reason it's called the master mineral is because phosphorus binds together with glucose, and glucose is just blood sugar, but phosphorus and glucose binds together to make ATP. And ATP is a fuel source. It's the energy that all the cells in your body use to work. And so let's put it this way, for your cow to do what she's doing right now, for her to walk, for her to graze, for her to stand up, for her to be alive, she needs phosphorus. And it's this kind of value that maybe kind of frames the discussion for one of the most important studies that was ever conducted in ruminant nutrition, and that's the King Ranch study that happened in the 1940s. So in the 1940s, the King Ranch looked at 4 different calf crops, and they compared the importance of phosphorus supplementation. They saw some pretty staggering results. So half of those cows didn't receive any phosphorus supplementation. The only phosphorus they got was from the grass they ate, like that cow, or the hay that they were consuming. And so the cows that were supplemented with phosphorus saw a 25% increase in weaning rate, or they produced 25% more calves. And those calves that they weaned off were 50 pounds heavier. Now that's an incredible 168 more pounds of calf weaned per cow exposed to a bull, or a 53% improvement in total beef production. Absolutely staggering values. Now we start talking about, well, what kind of improvement can that have on my bottom line as a producer? So if we take a look at that King Ranch study and we use today's market values, what it costs to keep a year-out mineral supplement is, and then the difference in price calf, or the calf weaning price, because of we are going to see a little bit of a slide in price. If we're weaning off calves that weigh 50 pounds heavier, there's going to be an adjustment to the base price. But we're still going to see a $200 return on investment for providing a year-round program to every cow exposed to a bull. And I don't know about you, but a $200 return on investment is about the best bet you can make in the beef business. And so that's obviously a classic study, but a more recent study that was conducted by the University of Missouri may kind of shine some light why we saw such staggering figures and performance improvements. And it turns out that not only does your cow have a requirement for mineral, but the bugs that populate her rumen also require mineral as well. So if you listen to a lot of our talks or demonstrations that we give in Purina, you'll hear a lot about our AccuRation line of products and how those are formulated to feed the bugs that live inside of your cow's rumen. And because the bugs, they do all the dirty work. I'm standing out here in a pasture, and the grass down here is indigestible to me, it's indigestible to you. But a cow can eat that grass, and those bugs will actually ferment that grass and create a volatile fatty acid. The volatile fatty acids are then used by that cow as an energy source. And these animals have a very symbiotic relationship together. So as a nutritionist, if I can devise rations or strategies to make your bugs more efficient, I can give you more return on investment and give you more resource optimization, because your cows will get more out of the grass that they eat. So if we go back to that Missouri study, they compared feeding cows a mineral supplement versus just being on a salt block. And what they found was cows that were on a mineral supplement had a 3% increase in protein digestion. Again, the bugs are just working more efficiently. They saw a 6% increase in fiber digestion and nearly a 7% increase in TDN digestion. And so mineral nutrition may be pretty complex, but for me it makes sense that if a cow is getting more out of the grass she eats, if she digests more of the grass that she eats, she's going to be in better condition, wean off heavier calves, and consequently have a higher conception rate. So we've talked a little bit about why mineral nutrition is important. Let's move to my second key, and that's that the mineral supplement has got to be consumed to have value. All right, it doesn't matter how balanced or high bioavailable that mineral product is that's in that feeder. If you can't get cows to eat it, it's not going to give you any value. All right, so any of you that's ever tried mineral before can probably testify that it's not the most palatable to the tongue. If you put a little bit of mineral, you try to taste it, many of these ingredients are pretty bitter to taste. And so that makes the fact that we got to get cows to consume mineral on a free choice basis kind of a high bar to clear. And so this is something that we've spent a tremendous amount of time in Purina to perfect. Because as I mentioned before, lots of times the balance or the ratios of mineral are actually more important than the absolute concentration. So if we have cows that are over consuming mineral or under consuming mineral, all of a sudden my balance is totally out of whack, and it undermines the entire validity of my mineral program. So consistent targeted intake is a pillar of our program at Purina. So our Wind and Rain line of products is targeted for 4 ounces of consumption. And at Purina, it's not good enough just for our mineral products to work at our research farm or at our farm at Gray Summit, Missouri. They've got to work at your farm and ranch. And so we're constantly holding ourselves accountable. And the way we do that is with customer demonstrations. And so to date, we've had nearly 1,000 customer demonstrations representing 145,000 head of cows. And I'm very proud to announce that our average mineral consumption is 4.01 ounces, nearly a bullseye of where we're targeted at. We got to get cows to consistently consume mineral if we're going to get our program to work. And we're really proud of that fact, and it's one of the pillars of our program for mineral nutrition. Now, there are different parts of the country that are maybe a little bit more challenging to get mineral consumption. Like today we're in South Texas, and actually where we're at in South Texas, the proximity to the Gulf Coast makes loose mineral consumption sometimes a little challenging because there's more salt in the atmosphere here. So cows sometimes are a little bit timid to consume a loose mineral product. So if that's your situation, if you're in a place where you've got problems with mineral consumption, then I would implore you to investigate using one of our mineral tubs. And the great thing about our mineral tubs is that the sweet molasses taste of that mineral tub is going to incentivize those cattle to consistently eat mineral every single day. Now, our mineral tubs are formulated for 6 ounces of consumption on a daily basis. And the other big benefit that we have our mineral tubs is the hardness of the tub. That only not helps govern and regulate the intake of our minerals to that optimal level, but it's also going to help to ensure that we don't have any product waste, and it's the ultimate in terms of weatherability. So we've talked about our second key point, and it's really a pillar of everything that we do in our mineral program, and that's consistent daily consumption of mineral. So that leads me to my third point, and that's that no matter what your circumstance or what your environment, Purina has a research-tested and a field-proven mineral option that will work for you. Now, we have literally hundreds of different SKUs of mineral options, whether that be in a bagged or in a tub form. It's like having a mineral that is custom-made for your outfit, but with the peace of mind of knowing that it's backed with Purina's research and our field tech expertise to guarantee that you're going to have proper consumption and nutrition. And so when I'm making a decision on what type of mineral I'm going to recommend as a field consultant, the first thing that I look at is the durability of the product. You know, it's funny, every now and again people tell me, they're like, boy, it sure costs a lot to put a high quality mineral program out there. And I always tell them that, hey, the most expensive bag of mineral you're ever going to buy is a mineral that doesn't work. If you've got a mineral that blows away in the wind, or after it gets rained on, it spoils or breaks up and turns into concrete, I'm telling you, that's a pretty expensive bag of mineral because your cows are getting no value out of it. So if you're interested in a product that has the ultimate weatherability and is still in a bag or a loose form, then your choice is pretty clear. You need to consider our Wind and Rain line of products. Now, thanks to the Storm technology, which is a patented product that we've got at Purina, the Wind and Rain loose line of products have got some really unique features. And what I think is so incredible about this product is it is weather resistant. So it won't break down in the presence of rain or water. You're not going to see that product spoil, or it's not going to turn into a brick and concrete. But at the same time, it's still palatable and it's still digestible in terms of the cow. Now, that's one of those things that's a lot easier said than done. And this is one of those deals that took us a lot of years at Purina to perfectly thread the needle to find the perfect formula that was durable enough that it wouldn't break down in the presence of water, but not so stringent that when it got inside the cow, it couldn't be broken down and digest. And so this is one of the exclusives that we have in Purina that I think makes us an industry leader and something that really sets our mineral program apart compared to our competition. Now, the second thing that I like to consider when making a mineral selection is that not all minerals are created equal. There's differences in what I call bioavailability, or the percentage of the mineral that cow can actually use. So generally speaking, when we're looking at bioavailability, we consider oxides and chlorides to be the worst. Sulfates are generally better. And then the best bioavailability we see in our hydroxy minerals or our organic minerals, just like Zinpro's traces, Availafor and ProPath. For me as a consultant, I generally lean towards those products that contain Zinpro's organic trace minerals. All right, Zinpro, they're like-minded with us at Purina. They share our appreciation for research, and their organic trace mineral packages are backed up by more peer-reviewed industry studies than any other mineral supplier in the industry. And so one thing that is exclusive for us at Purina is every time we include one of those Zinpro trace mineral package, that being Availafor or ProPath, we don't believe in tag dressing, and so we include those products at their full research proven rate. And then finally, the last thing I like to consider when making a mineral recommendation is fly control. Now, since we've been able to really get our mineral intake consistent and dependable, that gives us the leverage to help control hornfly populations out in the pasture. Now, hornflies are a pretty big nuisance to cows. but they may be even a bigger nuisance to cattlemen's pocketbooks. So most research estimates that horn flies cost each cow about a $40 loss in production every year, and as an aggregate, that's costing the cattle industry $1 billion. Now that may seem like a pretty big number, but when you consider that in pastures that don't have fly control, we generally see fly populations of about 1,000 flies per cow. Those flies have a 2 to 4 week life cycle, and those flies are going to take 20 to 30 blood meals every day on those cows. You can see where that $40 adds up pretty quick. So you might ask, how does Alticid or IGR work? So it's a feed-through technology that doesn't work until it gets into the manure. And so what it does is it works as an insect growth regulator. And it's going to keep those fly eggs that are laid in the manure, it's going to keep them from hatching and keep them in the larva stage so they never become a fly that's going to affect your cow's performance. So, to summarize, mineral nutrition can be pretty complex, but with nearly 100 years of research from Purina Animal Nutrition and with our field expertise from consultants like myself, we've taken the guesswork out of finding a high-quality mineral program that can work in your environment no matter what the circumstances. So, to summarize, with the 3 keys of mineral nutrition are, first, cows need to be supplemented with mineral. Our forages are just inherently deficient in many of the minerals that are essential for production. 2, cows have got to consume the product. It doesn't matter how good the product is in terms of bioavailability or how balanced it is. If I don't get the mineral inside the cow, I can't elicit the performance response that I'm after. And then the 3rd key, Purina has a full line of research-tested and field-proven mineral options that will work for you regardless of your circumstance.